artist. Today we're going to start by making some floating chalk prints. So all I'm doing is I took a baking tray and filled it with some water. And I made sure that my paper fit inside of the tray before I started that process. Next, I'm using some old outside chalk to take and kind of scrape off some of that chalk into the tray. So I'm just using a butter knife to do this. You could use whatever you have. You want to make sure you scrape enough chalk into the tray. So I'm making sure that I use a variety of colors. So I went through and said, okay, did I use red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple? And then if I felt like I saw some empty spots because the water was moving the chalk around a little bit, I just added a little more. When I'm done adding my chalk, I took my piece of paper and I put it in the water, and I want to let it sit there for at least 15 seconds. Next, I peeled my paper back, and there is my wonderful print. Now I'm just going to set it off to the side to dry. While my chalk print is drying, I'm going to take another piece of paper to create something that I'm going to be gluing on top of my chalk print. So first what I did is took a piece of paper and folded it in half the hot dog way. I'm creating a kite because that's one of my favorite summer activities with my family. So I'm using a regular pencil. This doesn't work very well with mechanical pencils, and it didn't work for me on my thicker paper very well. So you can see I'm problem solving. I'm pushing a little bit harder with my pencil and folding it in half to try and get that pencil to transfer to the other side. This will help create a kite that is really, really symmetrical. I still didn't quite get it to go to the other side, so now I'm using a tool to really rub on that line to help it transfer. And there we go. Now I have a symmetrical kite design. Finished drawing it with pencil, making it symmetrical, the same on both sides. I then traced it with a Sharpie. Now, in other videos, I've talked about different ways you can add color. So if you don't have paint at home, here are some other options. You might have food coloring in your kitchen cupboard. So all I did for the blue and the green and the yellow was use some 3 food coloring drops and a little bit of water. And you can see my yarn print is transferring over, but it's kind of faded. So that's okay though if you have a lighter faded look. So I'm going to try it with my green now. I put my yarn on one side, fold it over and give the paper a nice massage, and it transfers it on the other side, keeping that symmetrical look. Next, I'm going to do the same thing with my yellow. I put it on one side, fold it in half, rub it, and open it back up. Now the next paints I'm going to use are my liquid watercolor paint. Again, you might not have this at home. One thing you can do is if you have regular watercolor paint, get your watercolor paint trays wet and dip your yarn in them. Then you can transfer it over to the other side. Another option is to just use regular paint. So if you have regular paint at home, you can also dip your yarn in the regular paint by mixing it together with your fingers, kind of like if you're doing some finger painting. And then you can also put it on one side of your paper, fold it in half, and give your paper a massage. Try out whatever materials you have. If you don't have any of those materials, you could also just draw a design on your kite with colored pencils or crayons or whatever materials you have. You do not have to use all 3 materials that I'm showing you. I was just trying to give you a variety of options for whatever materials you have at home. Here is the regular paint option. So all I did was put some paint on a paper towel because I ran out of paper plates, and I'm just gonna mix a piece of yarn with those colors and repeat the same process that I've done previously. let my painting dry, and then I'm cutting out my kite. So I decided to set my scraps on my paper to show you you could make a kite that way too. So if I wanted my kite to have the chalk print be the design on the kite, and maybe the sky would be the yarn prints that I had, I could do that. But I decided to have my yarn print be the kite and then glue on some extra yarn for a kite tail. After I glue my kite tail on, I could add maybe a kite quote like "Let's go fly a kite," or I could add some bows on my kite, my kite tail. Sometimes that is on a kite. I want you to add your own special touch to it. I can't wait to see your kites. Have fun!